Hello, yes. Hello.
Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, hi. My name is Puiyin Wong. I am a Technology Enhanced Learning Coordinator at the London College of Communication, which is one of the colleges under the University of the Arts London. So, by the way, my chat channel is disabled as well. So if you want to get my attention, you're going to have to raise your hand instead of typing something in the chat because I don't know where that's gone.
I'll by the way, if anybody has their chat disabled, it means I've the email I've added to the group to make you a member isn't the email that you've signed in with Teams. So if anybody has that, if you send me the email that you tend to use with Teams, I'll make sure that gets added as well, and I can make that sorted. But if there's any questions come up, I will let you know.
Yeah, that would be great, Chris. Thank you. So shall I make a start then?
Crack on. And as always, if you're going up to the 5 minutes, I'll give you the old.
Yeah, absolutely. And before I start, though, I just wanted to publicly say thank you to Chris. You've helped me a lot recently. I'm not going to go into detail, but you know what I mean. So thank you very much for your help. And so I will make a start. So today I'm going to give you a tour of an online course on blended learning that we created over the summer. The aim for this course was to help a course team to transition into blended learning, and hopefully that can initiate some interesting discussion amongst the group here, as it has back in the motherland. So let me just share my screen with you. I hope I can do that. So it would appear that I can't share. Oh, no, wait a minute. There we go. Can you see my screen okay? Thank you for that. This is called BlendIt, Activating Blended Learning. It's a bit of a cheesy name, but it's okay because we like it and make it a bit more informal. And also we are an art university, creative arts only. So anything goes in an art university. So the course itself consists of 5 units, which I will go into more detail later. But overall, the course itself introduces the course team with some core digital learning, digital pedagogies, best practice, some really practical advice and active discussions, so on and so forth, to really get the course teams and other colleagues to, roll their sleeves up and get hands-on and sort of experience what it's like learning online from the learner's perspective, which is very important for us, and I'm sure for most people out there as well. Now, as you can see, the course itself is built on Moodle. Now, I know opinions about Moodle is divided, so I'm not gonna attempt to start the conversation. But at UAL, this is what we use, so it's important for us to encourage the course team to think about how they could populate their Moodle site more interestingly, because before COVID, Moodle for some people, or VLEs in general, were just a file dumping ground. But now VLEs are universities, so we need to kind of think about how we can engage students through this very important portal. So this thinking was certainly behind the design of this course. So let's have a quick look at the units, and I'm going to go into certain elements of the course. Okay, so Unit 1 is the online learner and inclusivity. This is really a way to get our staff to really think about their own students in the online world, how they could or should or would prefer to learn in the online world. What are the obstacles they are facing? So, for example, equipment, internet connection, loneliness, or other factors that we might be aware of, but we might not be conscious about when we're designing our learnings. Now, but this, bear in mind, this unit is not about telling our colleagues to try and understand who their students are in real life, because obviously they know their students as learners, but they might not necessarily know their students as the online learner. That is the distinction that we want to kind of introduce to our course team. So, for example, we have got a top session in here that says key issues in online learning. And this these sort of tabs, safeguarding, communication, and well-beings, they would lead to questionnaire. So this is just a sort of reflection channel for for the course team to think about what are the safeguarding issues. Are they learning? Are the student learning from a safe environment? How do we communicate with our students? How do we build meaningful relationship with them remotely? And well-being is about our students as well as ourselves. We've got to look after ourselves before we can look after our students. So these are not really to trip people up. This is just a kind of like an introduction for people to start thinking about what do we need to do in an online environment to make sure people don't burn out, and to make sure we are as inclusive as we can, like we do in a physical campus. So this is a really comprehensive introduction of blind. Cat's got my tongue this morning, of our online learners. So unit 2 is blended learning models. This unit goes into the more kind of pedagogy side of blended learning. We introduced what blended learning means, perhaps more specifically to our university, but then blended learning, the definition is actually quite simple. The best of both worlds, really. It's best of in person and the best of online. You sort of blend them together. So I think the most important thing in two important elements of this, really. The first one is we explain the difference between synchronous and asynchronous learning activities, because at the beginning of the lockdown, there were these two words, synchronous and asynchronous, just became the mostly used words, when in reality not that many people actually understood the distinction, particularly asynchronous learning. What does it mean? And there were lots of confusions about, do we just upload some videos online and call it a day? Well, the answer is no. So it's important for us to explain the distinction between the two, and the two elements are not mutually exclusive. They could coexist in a single learning activity. For example, my all-time favorite is the flipped learning model, where you give students asynchronous learning materials for them to go away. Asynchronous learning materials for them to go away, explore them, and then we get together to have a discussion. So it's important for us to sort of introduce, or we introduce to our course teams, which we have had good success, because we're seeing a lot more really meaningful blended learning materials coming our way. And our course team tend to come to us a lot to say, can you have a look at our materials? Are they all right? So we are getting there. So this unit is an introduction of blended learning. One thing I wanted to draw your attention to this unit, it also introduces a really useful, really practical learning design model, which is the RACE framework. Just bring this up, the RACE model. Okay, I'm not going to play this video, but I just want to stop at a particular frame. There we go. So RACE stands for, those of you who don't know what it is, I'll very quickly explain it. RACE stands for, R stands for resources. We'll look at the learning outcomes and what resources will be needed to achieve the learning outcomes. Then we'll look at the A, which is activity, or activities. What activities will our student need to do to navigate and understand the resources in order to achieve the learning outcomes. And then we'll look at support, which is S. What support can we provide our students with to engage with the activities that they are required to complete? What questions or issues, obstacle they might we might anticipate our student to experience? How do we provide a support for them to tackle them? And finally, probably the most important element in education, we love a good evaluation. So that's E. The evaluation provides students with feedback and tutors the opportunity to monitor the student progress during the learning process. So we can ensure that learning will be successful, and obviously to improve future learning and tweak the resources, activity, and support if necessary. So this is the RACE model is something that we've been heavily promoting at the university, and we are seeing course teams adopting this particular learning model, because It's very simple, 4 elements, very practical, and that really just get people interested. People want something that's simple, practical, easy to use, and I think the race model ticks a lot of these boxes. Okay, so so by now, after 2 units, hopefully our course team will have gained some basic understanding of what our students are like being online learners, and also have some understanding of blended learning to get them kind of start thinking about what it means, because this current setting is going to last for potentially for this whole academic year. So we're in it for the long haul, and hopefully blended learning is here to stay, even if and when we get back to normal, whatever that means. So unit 3 is my personal favorite, simply because this is the unit I was sort of responsible for, which is the building community and engaging students. So this unit is not particularly teaching learning related. It's more how we support our students to build communities and how to be present for them, both in and outside of the classroom. Now, so straight off the bat, we introduce a particular framework, which is the community of inquiry. Here we go, just make it a bit bigger. If anyone's interested in any of these resources, I could sort of curate a list and send to Chris later on today. So as you can see, the community of inquiry is this framework is not necessarily for online learning only, but nevertheless, it's very, very relevant. As you can see, there are 3 different types of presence: social, connective, and teaching. So the teaching presence, which is something that perhaps our course teams have been spending too much time worrying about, is just 1/3 of the equation to make a good educational experience for our students. You can see the 3 types of presence together make the good education experience. So the reason why I wanted to introduce this framework is just to assure the course team that the students know what they're doing. We just need to kind of get them started to help them build their communities. So we want to be with them 24/7, but we can't, because remember what I said earlier, we've got to look after ourselves. We can't burn out, because if we did, then would be no use for our students. So it's important for us to introduce well-being for our staff and our students as well. So this unit is really to give suggestions about how you help the student build communities. Now, students normally know what they're doing in terms of forming their own social groups, getting together to go to galleries, to go to cafe, whatever, to build a friendship amongst each other. Now, obviously, it's a little bit difficult to do it remotely when the students haven't even met each other, So this unit gives a lot of practical example. Let me just see if I can practical examples of how we can initiate this sort of engagement. So I thought I can show you the forum. Give me a second. Oh, sorry, I can't because it's got people's names on them. But we have a forum. Sorry, I can't show you that because it's got people's names on them. So under the GDPR guideline, I'm not allowed to show other people's names other than those who have given me permission. So anyway, but I've had a look at the forum yesterday. There are some really good suggestions. For example, one of the tutors was saying, back in the days, we would take our students to galleries, to walk down the street, to explore the neighborhood of where the campus is. Alternatively, we can't do it now because students might still be living at home or in their respective countries. Why don't we encourage a student to walk down their own neighborhood with their mobile phone, record a clip, and then share with each other? That would be an alternative to try experiencing each other's culture remotely. Another tutor was saying that we need to set out some sort of ground rules of how the discussions should happen amongst the students, and then we leave them be. So when we were doing some Moodle audit a few weeks ago, I was just looking at some Moodle sites, and I found some really remarkable student-led, student-focused Blackboard Collaborate rooms. They were named something like the Big Sofa, the cafe or the common room, then there will be a big fat sort of restriction on there saying no staff allowed. So that's quite interesting that staff are taking this sort of looking after themselves and sort of letting go a bit more seriously now than perhaps they did at the beginning of the lockdown, where they were working round the clock trying to be as responsive as they could to a student, which is commendable. But like I said, we need to look after ourselves. So letting students do what they do best is what we're trying to encourage in this unit. Finally, in this unit, we look at how we could kickstart, like some practical advice of how we could kickstart, excuse me, the students' engagement building community. So we introduced this very famous framework, famous suggestion, whatever you want to call it, Eatifity by Jill Salmon. I'm sure you are all familiar with it. So Eatifity is basically we set a topic of discussion or a common goal that we need to discuss or investigate. That could be completely random. It's not learning related. It doesn't have to be. It can be. The key of Eatifity is for a group of people who might or might not be in the same physical location, engage with each other via some online platforms. Asynchronous discussions, synchronous discussions, so channels like Teams, channels like Padlet, or even Slack, whatever they want to use, could be ideal. So the role of the tutors is really as facilitated. They set the sort of the boundaries and let students run with it. So this is what we recommend, sort of like a, if you like, ice-breaking exercise for this term in particular for the first year, because I think I was reading the some chats the other day where people were saying the first years are actually the most eager to get back on campus or to get on campus because they've never met their peers, whereas second and third year students tend to be a bit more relaxed because they already have formed the social bubbles, the social groups. They don't really need to get back on campus as badly as the new students. So that's what this unit is about. I'm just going to speed up a little bit because I tend to have a tendency to talk forever if you don't stop me. So Unit 4, digital accessibility. This is an extremely part of any online teaching and learning, any online design at all, if anything. Not only because there's some parts of it, some elements is obviously legal requirements, it's also because something that isn't user friendly, it puts people off, or worse, for those who have learning difficulties or disability, they might just find things confusing and they become disengaged. If you're disengaged about something, you're not going to learn well. So this is really important. In this unit, it's a bit drier than the other units. We have, so you can see on here, making Moodle and learning materials accessible. These are just basically tips and tricks to get people to follow the rules, essentially. So this unit, we are enforcing it a little bit more than other units. This is more of an enforcement, if you like, rather than recommendation. And this unit was co-designed with our in-house accessibility and digital accessibility specialists. So we kind of say to the course team, if nothing else, just please look at this unit. Okay. And then finally, Unit 5, which kind of brings everything together, which is creating a blended learning activity. Now, creating learning blended activity is basically summary. Sorry, I don't know, my mouse just slipped for a second. Right. 5, 2. So we introduce, or we explore the 6 different types of learning: acquisition, inquiry, discussion, practice, collaboration, and production. Now, in this tab, we go into more details of what they are and what they can be, what these activities can be, to really get the course team to start thinking about learning activities that they can do other than live sessions. Because having long live sessions really isn't healthy for anyone. And there is so much more we can do with asynchronous learning activities. Okay, So we're way out of time, so I'm going to just rush through to the last thing, which is a bit of statistics. We have about 400 members of staff LCC, including all the admin staff, teaching staff. I think we have about 350, including associate lecturers. This course has been online for about 3 months now, and we've had, as of last night, over 300 active participation. Now, some of it are repeated participation, but I think it's fair to say that statistics speaks for themselves, that this course is getting momentum, and we've been getting lots of feedback. This is brilliant. Can we do more? Can we have more? We've had one webinar on this, and we are planning to have more in this coming term to really get the momentum, sort of carry on with it. Finally, I just wanted to say, as you know, I say we in the entire presentation because this is not my work. It's a team of 9 people who have created this. So I just wanted to, as I promised, I know one of them is here watching me. I just wanted to quickly introduce the other members of this team to everyone, to give them the credits that, not the open forum, sorry. Seconds. Give them the credits that they deserve. So we have Christy. Christy is here. So hello, Christy. She's the head of academic support. And then we have Emily, who's a senior lecturer, Frenia, course leader, and one of our teaching learning innovation leads. We have 3 of them. Lee, who is my equal, another TEL coordinator. Mark, who is another teaching learning innovation lead and a reader in critical and nomadic pedagogies. And Matt Linger, I'm sure he's no stranger to most of you. He knows everyone knows him. He's my boss. And finally, that's me. And also the 2 digital accessibility and accessibility specialists, Brother and Matt, who are also part of this sort of course team, if you like. So yeah, I just wanted to introduce everyone to make sure you know that this is a team advert, and it took us 5 weeks to put the whole course together. So something that we're quite proud.